Hey there everybody, Adam of Boring Trousers here. Sorry that we didn't actually get all of Cat Week into 1 week, but who gives a fuck? We're going to go ahead and put it on 2 weeks because this honestly deserves to be put up. I apologize for it being late, but trust me, it was worth the wait. I present to you the final chapter of Cat Week 2014, a divergence in subject to Knuckles the Echidna. Enjoy.
Knuckle Hair stole the 7 Knuckles and Knuckle Emeralds to turn the whole planet into not Knuckles. Knuckles must stop the Knuckle McKnuckle Hair in this Knuckle definition reimagining of Knuckles and Knuckles 2, with the Knuckles expansion already available, only on the Knuckles Station 4 and Knux Box 1. Coming soon to a Knuckles near you.
What is happening right now? What are you doing?
I'm advertising the new Knuckles game. Knuckles and Knuckles 3, Knuckles the Echidna, and Knuckles 2, and Knuckles, Knuckles, and Knuckles. Also featuring Knuckles.
Speaking of Knuckles, I assume you are all familiar with the classic and well-loved raps from Sonic Adventure 2, yes?
Yep. Why Sonic Adventure 2 has the best story in gaming, period.
This is by Lord Xavier British, published on October 16th, 2011. Okay, listen up, because I have something really important that I wanted to share with you guys for a long time. It will take some time to explain, but this is just really important to me, so if you would take time to read through this, I would really appreciate it. I know it's a lot, but please, just give it a chance. While Sonic 2 may seem, from the outside, to just be another middling 3D action game with a tacked-on story, this is hardly the case. In fact, it is just a shell, whose hard candy center is one of the best-kept secrets in gaming. If Sonic Adventure series, if it can really be called that, is remembered for anything, it is its ridiculous music and voice acting, and really pretty much everything about it is.
Yes.
Few people, however, know that some of the music, namely the themes accompanying the Knuckles levels, were written by longtime Sega audio producer Tomoya Otani in association with rapper Hunted P. Even fewer are aware that, right under Sega's nose, he penned a veritable opera for the little Monotrim. Monotrime?
I don't even know if that's a word or not.
Hidden within each of these seemingly incomprehensible songs is a tale of a very confused soul, lost in reality of its own design, that is struggling to come to terms with the profound realization of its utter powerlessness in this world. It is, in a world, beautiful. Perhaps this is somewhat unbelievable claim. This guy has really poor writing. But let me assure you of its authenticity. I've created a write-up delving into, in detail, this tale of epic proportions, but first, some explanation.
Before I begin, I'd like to establish a few things so we're all clear on what this actually is. First off, you have to realize that this is not completely Otani's original version, because he had to make his true intentions as unnoticeable as possible in order to get his songs approved, because Sega ultimately had the final word on everything. His work has been ostracized obscured to some degree. Blech. Everything had to be contextual to the levels in the game, which had already been finalized before Otani was brought in. But thankfully, Otani left behind song titles to serve as additional clues the original meaning of each piece. I will be examining these as well, as such, I have included them alongside the name of each level. With that out of the way, let me clarify one more pressing issue that is most likely at the forefront of your mind. I'd imagine that, right now, you're thinking, why haven't I heard of this before? That's a very good question, and one that deserves an answer. Honestly, I do not know why, and would very much like to know why this is so rarely discussed as well. It was in 2007 that I first stumbled upon a MySpace post by Otani, linked to me through an IRC chat room, nearly 6 years after the game's original Dreamcast release. I assume Sega must have ordered the post taken down before it caught mainstream attention, as I have yet to find an original or duplicate copy. Perhaps it was simply out of fear that they would appear more ignorant to their customers, but I can think of no other reason why this sudden information would suddenly disappear from the net without a trace. I was quite shocked to find there's virtually no information left regarding this astonishing and admittedly hilarious misappropriation of resources. So naturally, I decided I should chronicle this story somewhere before it was lost forever. I hope it was worth the effort.
Otani's story was basically that of a man torn to pieces by the realization that his entire life is a self-fabricated monstrosity. Basically, Otani is implying through his lyrics that the world of Sonic the Hedgehog is actually an illusion, formed under the aid of hallucinogens that Knuckles has created to shelter himself from the harsh realities of the real world. It's basically a story of utter defeat by one's own self and a glorious revelation and rebirth. The classic tale of a man becoming more than himself only when he is at his lowest. It's quite a remarkable story, and one made all the more so by the medium through which it is told. There are a few things essential to understanding the story to the fullest. Number 1, this is a monologue. Every song is quick to remind us that this is an account of Knuckles' thoughts in the first person in the beginning of every song. This is a tale told by its narrator, and as such there are things to consider. Is Knuckles being completely truthful to the audience? Is he even being completely truthful to himself? There are implications made by the narrative style, and it's best to keep these in mind before continuing. Number 2, Otani never had the final say on the music for each song. Although he did have a generally idea of what the music would be like for each track before he composed the lyrics, he never actually had influence on the final pieces of music his words were performed over. He would often be forced by Sega to completely redo a song, giving him very little time to fix the lyrics for each new master. As such, the meaning of the lyrics and the context the music places into him may seem to clash at times, but keep in mind that in most cases these are two separate bodies of work. The final level in which all the characters team up is not canon to Otani's story. He had no creative control over the music in this part, and thus it should not be considered part of his work. I should be quite easy to dismiss this, considering there are no actual lyrics to the music in this section of the game, but it's worth noting all the same. There was a song cut from the game. Early in development, there was going to be one more Knuckles level in the game, a snow level. This was actually the last Knuckles-only section, and thus it was originally the final act of Otani's epic. I do not, as previously stated, have a copy of the original blog post in which Otani revealed the true meaning behind his lyrics. However, I will attempt to recount the final chapter's general overview as best I can. With that out of the way, let's get on to the part you've all been waiting for.
Chapter 1, Kick the Rock. Wild Canyon. Kick the Rock is the first and most unassuming of Otani's tracks. It's a very light-hearted, very fun song. It is meant as a reintroduction to the world of Sonic the Hedgehog and what it is, and Knuckles is all about. Basically, it is a setup for things to come. However, don't be fooled by the upbeat rhythm. There is a darker subtext work here. The first thing we notice is the use of the word echidna in the line 1 of the second stanza. Not only is Knuckles not an echidna, but echidna is not actually a word. Wow. Knuckles is an echidna, and for Sega to have made such a slip-up with their own character would normally be inexcusable. However, this is no slip-up. This was intentional. Here we see Otani begin to play with the idea that Knuckles is beginning to realize that he isn't sure who he is anymore. This is further implied by the line, "Never seen a mic hog spit like a menace," as Knuckles is also not a hedgehog. This line, specifically, may be one of the early warning signs that Sonic and the rest of the cast are actually Knuckles himself. Drug-fueled personas created by a desperate imagination trying to hang on to the illusion. There's also some other mature themes briefly glanced over this song, like sex. Knuckles is often rash and violent nature, and of course, drug references. Although Otani never specifically what exactly, Knuckles may have been consuming, in reality, the popular consensus at the time was crack cocaine.
What?
This is implied by the title, Kick the Rock, as well as Knuckles' constant paranoia regarding the safety of his Master Emerald. Although this would not explain the extreme level of hallucination he is experiencing throughout the story, it is never implied that Knuckles is only taking one type of drug, so he could, in fact, be partaking in multiple substances.
Chapter 2, A Ghost's Pumpkin Soup, Pumpkin Hill. Here we begin to see Knuckles slowly begin to succumb to his paranoia as the once wistful valleys of Wind Canyon are twisted and controlled into the nightmare realm known only as Pumpkin Hill. The important things to realize are the metaphors Otani is using with the ghosts and the pumpkins. Basically, the ghosts represent the few remaining scraps of Knuckles' consciousness, waking mind, that realize the truth of his situation, whereas the pumpkins are hallucinations, created by his subconscious in self-defense against the recognizing reality. As Knuckles comes closer to the truth of his dream world's fabrication, they begin to transform into horrifying abominations in an attempt to ward him back to their comforting embrace. This is further expounded upon the title, A Ghost's Pumpkin Soup, that denotes the fact that this wretched dreamscape in which Knuckles resides in was originally a creation of his waking mind attempting to escape the frustrations of the world. This is also the first song in which the true nature of the Master Emerald is revealed. The Master Emerald is, in actuality, Knuckles' mind. Every time it comes close to completion, it is broken apart as he suffers yet another mental breakdown, further isolating him from the reality which he so feverishly denies.
Well,
Holy fucking shit. The two most interesting lines here are those of 8 and 9 in the second stanza. Knuckles explains that his graveyard theory is that a ghost tried to approach him but got leery. Let's look at this from the perspective of the ghost as a metaphor for Knuckles' waking mind. Knuckles' conscious mind, the one that is aware of the falsity of the illusion, approaches him attempting to bring him back to reality. However, it gets leery before it is able to do so. Now, what does leery mean? Well, the traditional definition is a caution brought about by completely rational fears, realistic fears. Think about that. Realistic fears. This is just another example of the masterful wordplay at work here. The ghost is not afraid of being harmed by the corporal Knuckles. It is afraid that he is not capable of handling reality without doing irreversible harm to himself.
what the actual fuck is going on?
Knuckles then begins frantically climbing, the menacing anecdotes issuing forth from the pumpkins corrupting his every thought, trying to find any semblance of rational behind the events. Fuck you, dude. That are beginning to tear his world apart. He then jumps off and begins flying deeper, not into the darkness, but his own consciousness, desperately searching for answers.
Knuckles goes to Silent Hill.
Oh my god. This
is
heavy.
Gonna be the new Hideo Kojima game.
This is heavy. Okay, chapter 3, Dive into the Mellow, Aquatic Mind. I think this is where we get into reading the lyrics.
Oh boy.
This is the first track whose music really detracts from Otani's lyrics, although that may not initially seem to be the case. The problem with the song, and really even the title Dive into the Mellow, is that it implies that Knuckles has lapsed back into hallucination and is farther from the truth than ever. In actuality, that is not the case, at least not yet. The use of mellow in the title is meant to invoke a feeling of almost reaching that point of clarity. Basically, this is the point in the story where Knuckles reaches out towards reality, almost manages to finally, after so long, touch it, but inevitably falling back into darkness as is evident by the next song, Deeper. This is heavy. The music here is meant to be a bit more erratic, to convey the idea that Knuckles is frantically searching, but also very much confused with the concept of who he actually is and why the world around him is shifting into a dark, antagonistic nightmare realm. This is when we begin to see Knuckles questioning the world around him. He begins to question why things are the way they are, even somewhat resenting it, as is evident in the lines, "Makes you want to sit back, enjoy the life, and do the things you like doing, get to shine. It sure beats fighting with the foes all the time, but I gotta do it, they always stay out of line." But there is also a profound confusion ailing Knuckles. He feels lost in his own home, in his own mind, and he is still plagued by demonic vision. His subconscious still mangling itself into an ever darker form. He feels trapped, like he's drowning in it all, with no hope left of finding a way out. He's just an animal. He's just an animal with gloves on.
Knuckles punches things, but he wants to know why he punches things.
But there is still one light left, minuscule though it may be. He remains determined. He has no goal or even any way of knowing exactly what it is that he is searching, but he refuses to back down. It is that trait that defines Knuckles, but also leads him to his eventual downfall. Okay,
Why am I the fighting freak?